when you say $1 million, that sounds like a lot of money, but when it comes to funding your retirement, it might not be enough, might not stretch as far as you would like to think. Here in Michigan, actually, $1 million will last a retiree 21 years. So there's a lot of timing questions involved with this.
Run out of money pretty quick. Financial instructor Michael Masserant with the Retirement Education Foundation here. It's the question that probably every retiree asks themselves. Do I have enough money to retire?
Yeah, everyone wants to know what is the magic number. And this is probably the question that we get asked most frequently in the class is, okay, what's the magic number?
And what is the magic number?
Yeah. And the answer bothers everybody. The answer is there is no magic number. It depends on what you want to do in retirement. If you want to retire young, 55 or 60, and spend $100,000, $150,000 a year, no, $1 million is nowhere close to enough. But if you're retiring at 67 and you have a strong Social Security benefit and you're spending $50,000, $60,000 a year, it'll be enough. It really comes down to what do you want your retirement to look like. And a lot of people just don't quite understand the levers that really impact what will make or break their retirement. That's what the class is really about.
How do you create that budget, Michael? In other words, how do you know how much you're going to spend? And I know some of the factors are a little bit unpredictable, like healthcare.
For sure. That's really, a lot of people assume they're going to be spending less in retirement because there's a study that came out in 2016, 2017, and it sort of made a sweeping proclamation that retirees on average spend about 77% of what they were spending while they were working. And that became sort of the gold standard repeated number for retirement planning. But a lot of people, once they retire, they spend either similar amounts of money compared to when they were working, or sometimes even a little more than when they were working.
Get all that free time.
Because we have more time now.
Right.
And so you really got to sit down and figure out, okay, maybe you will spend less. Everyone's different. But a lot of people don't want to spend less. A lot of people want to maintain that same lifestyle or even spend a little more those first 5, 10 years, the go-go years as we call them.
That was one of the things about the class, and correct me if I'm wrong if I kind of got this right. When you first retire, let's say if you retire at 65, you might spend a lot more money in those first 12, 15 years than after 80, let's say.
Absolutely. A lot of times people have you have your bucket list, all the travel you want to do, all the things you want to go see and experience that you've been putting off because you've been saving for retirement, you've been working, raising a family, and now you're retired. Now it's the golden years. A lot of people take advantage of that and they spend more if they are able to. But that's where a lot of people start to make mistakes is they see these balances on their accounts, you know, $500,000, $1 million, and they think, oh, this will last me forever, $1 million. And maybe it will if you're doing proper planning, but a lot of people blow through it quicker than they realize, and by the time they're in their mid to late 70s, they might be in a tight spot if they didn't map this out properly.
So when you're considering all this, and this is where you probably need a little bit of expertise to come in, a little help, but you're looking at how much you plan on spending in retirement, and also, if you have a pension, if you have a 401k, what kind of Social Security benefits, all that, right?
So mapping this stuff out really can make or break someone's retirement plan to understand what puzzle pieces do you have. Do you have Roth IRA dollars? Do you have traditional IRA dollars? Do you have after-tax money? Do you have pensions, Social Securities? What Medicare bracket are you going to be in? What tax bracket are you going to be in? Roth conversions? All of these things need to be all these things need to be mapped out in combination with each other. Because if you don't, if you start pulling levers willy-nilly based on an article you read or a podcast or YouTube video or what your friends did, you're going to make some mistakes for yourself. And this is one of the most important things you can take care of is your wealth.
From what you see in your expertise, are most Americans, enough Americans on track for retirement? Where is that?
So it's tough. I mean, the answer is no. Most Americans are not on track for retirement. So our national average savings rate's roughly 4%. It's not very good. And that's one of the reasons.
What's that mean, 4%?
So people on average save roughly 4% of their income for retirement.
Oh, okay.
We need to be closer to at least 10, ideally 15%. That's one of the things we're banging the drum in the high school classes is making sure when they get their first job, saving that to that 401k 15%. So most people aren't on track. You know, the average retirement savings by age around 65 is roughly $600,000, which sounds great, and it is great, but the average is a little skewed by very, very wealthy people. The median savings balance by age 65 is $200,000. So as a country, we've got to do a little better about buckling down and saving more for retirement, because if we don't, people become very reliant on Social Security, and that'll cover some of the expenses, but not everything.
Yeah, and the systems are in place if you have access to a 401k, and if not, you certainly have access to an index fund that you can.
Yeah, 401ks, Roth IRAs, especially with a 401k, 403b, take advantage of the match. That's free money.
Yeah.
That's, I mean, all these easy things that really a lot of people might get discouraged or find it a little daunting to begin saving for retirement. It's not that complicated. A little education goes a long way to put yourself in a better spot
That's
for
why
retirement.
what you're doing in the schools is so important, because I mean, when you're talking about the number of people who are just not in the mindset to retire or in the process to do that, it's just so important to get the conversation started.
And it's just, an hour. Opening a Roth IRA at age 21 and setting up some automatic contributions, spending an hour at age 21 could change your life, will change your life.
Yeah.
It's just that simple. Michael
that.
Masserant, Retirement Education Foundation, refedu.org.
There we go. Michael,
Yeah,
thank you
course.
as always.
Of course.